I'm sure you're well aware of the Cricut Joy by now, and if you're not, wow, you're in for a treat. Have you seen what they can do yet? This is a compact, smart cutting machine. Don't let the size fool you. It's not a toy. It's excellent quality for a home cutting machine. It's not light and flimsy at all. It's got some weight to it. It cuts out or draws clean, accurate lines. I can't show you everything it does today, but I will add a drawing video later on. I'm Donna from Junk Journal Ideas, and I'm doing a collab with Cricut Australia. In this video, I'll show you how to use this free project in Cricut Design Space and cut it out using your Cricut Joy. Let's assume you already know how to use Cricut Design Space. What you can do is grab the link in the description below, jump straight in and cut out your book plates, and then come back here and watch the end of this video on how I assemble it and make it look like old chippy paint. Now, if you're a beginner, to be able to get and use this design, you need to have Cricut Design Space installed on your computer, phone or iPad. And if you haven't got Design Space installed on your computer, I've made this playlist here with all the videos that shows you step by step how to get it and how to install it. So make sure you swing by and have a look. The link is in the description below. If you have Design Space installed on your computer, I'm going to show you where you can get the direct link to this design. If you haven't used a direct link like this before, it's pretty handy because this cut file will open up in Design Space. Then all you have to do is keep watching this video and I'll show you what to do all the way through to cut it out and then assemble it to look like old chippy paint. Right under the video you're watching, in the description, click on Show More. That's going to drop down so you can see all the links. Then go to Cricut Design Space Book Plate and left mouse click on the blue link. That's going to take you straight to Cricut Design Space. Now, if you are registered, you can sign in straight from here. And now left mouse click on this blue link. Now it's just going to go straight to the project, so you don't have to go searching for it. This is a direct link to this cut file. Feel free to look at the pictures that are on the slide at the top here, read the description, but I'm just going to show you how to send this straight to your Cricut Joy to be cut out. Go to the bottom of the page where you see this green button, Make It. Left mouse click on the green button. We're going to open up into a new page. We are using cardstock to make this book plate, so you are going to left mouse click on Mat. Just select what size mat you're using. I'm using the small mat, so I'm staying on that size, and I'm going to left mouse click on the green button that says Confirm. Now this is going to show you what your design looks like on that mat. So just visualize that you've got a piece of cardstock stuck on your mat. We'll go over here and have a look at the material load type first. Left mouse click on the down facing arrow. We're using the mat, so just make sure it's ticked on mat. This is where you change the size of your mat if you're using the longer mat. So I'm staying on the 16.51 centimeter. If you've got the longer mat, change it to the 30.5 centimeter. Now we'll go back up to the top, and this is going to put how many of these book plates you want to cut out on your mat. I've made this so you'll fit 3 sets of book plates on this smaller mat. What you do if you only want to cut out 2 book plates, just change the project copies to 2 and left mouse click on apply, and it'll automatically place them on the mat. But I'm going to cut 3, so I'm going to change that number to 3 and then left mouse click on apply again. You do not need to move these around. They're placed perfectly to cut out on this size mat. Now before we go any further, turn your Cricut Joy on at the power point. Now go down to the bottom right hand corner and left mouse click on continue. So I've got my Cricut Joy turned on and paired with my computer, and now my computer is searching via Bluetooth for my Cricut Joy and it's just found it. So now I can set my base material. I'm just using a 220 GSM light cardstock. So I'm going to left mouse click on the first selection. The pressure is set for default. I'm going to cut this out on default because I know it's going to cut right through the 220 GSM cardstock. If I was using a heavier cardstock, I'd change it to more. So it would just put a bit more pressure on the blade to cut through that cardstock. But I'm going to leave it on default. Now the number 2 on this list is saying just to check the blade is securely in the machine and to load the mat. So all I've done is use an A4 piece of black cardstock around 220 GSM. I just put a pencil mark to the correct size and I'm just going to cut that out. Make sure this cardstock is well stuck down. Now I've got something to show you here. If you've loaded your mat into the Cricut Joy before you've told it what to do here on your computer, it may do nothing. You'll notice that down here in the bottom right hand corner, the go button is faint. You can't select it. It won't do a thing. So this is what you've got to do. Go back to your mat and take it out of the Cricut Joy and then feed it back in. And then the Cricut Joy will pull the mat into the machine. The go button changes from faint to a dark green. And once that button is highlighted green, left mouse click go. Now Design Space will start preparing to make the cut. It's finalizing and it's started the cutting. Now I'm going to leave this on real time so you can actually see it going through as if it was sitting here in front of you. It's a little bit hard to see it cutting out on the black, but you can see the lines, and I'll show you some close-ups in a minute where you'll see it a lot better. It doesn't take very long at all to cut out 9 pieces. And see how the mat needs room to come out the back of the machine? And look at how perfect and clean the line cuts are. Looking at your computer screen, it will show up that it's complete. Then left mouse click on unload, and then your mat will eject itself from the machine so you can take it out. And then you go back to your screen again for the final move and left mouse click on done in the right hand bottom corner here. Once you click done, it's going to take you back to the home page of Cricut Design Space. Before you close this down, I'd appreciate it if you give my project a heart and save it in your favorites for later on. Now just take your cardstock off the mat. Look at how perfect all these cuts are. And then I just bend my mat slightly and put my spatula under the corner of each of these little labels and peel them up. If you haven't got a spatula, just use your fingernail. But honestly, look how precise these cuts are. They are perfect. Now we're ready to go on and assemble the book plate to make them look like old chippy paint. You are gonna love this project. It is so easy to make. You're gonna need a piece of plastic to protect your work surface, some white paint, or you can use an antique color if you like. You'll need a small paintbrush and a small amount of beeswax, a sandpaper block, or just a small piece off a sheet, and of course your labels. I just start by rubbing the beeswax around the edge of each of the pieces. You don't really have to do the middle because we're going to layer the pieces on, and you'd be just wasting your time and your beeswax if you've done that. Now these smaller pieces, they're very fine, so just be careful when you're handling them. But if you do happen to accidentally rip one, they still can be used. And I'll show you later that I do rip one and I still continue on and use it. So just spread some wax on all of your pieces. Now I'm going to start with the white paint, and I just put a small amount straight onto my plastic sheet. And we're just going to use straight paint here. We're not using any water at all. And sort of a dry brush, but yeah, definitely no water. And just very roughly paint over the whole surface. You can use tweezers or your fingers to hold it down. The good thing about this project is you don't have to be a neat painter. The rougher, the better, because the look we're going for is old chippy paint. So this is going to be the first coat, and because this is the first coat and we're not using water at all, you're just going to leave them to dry. It only takes about 5 or 10 minutes. Now I'm just going to check and make sure that they're dry enough to do the second coat, and I'm just going to do the same again. And on your second coat you actually need to do less. You don't need to put as much paint on. So just go over all the pieces again with your second coat, and it's a hit and a miss. Same again, leave those to dry for 5 or 10 minutes. And now, with the magic of television, they're all dry and we're ready to rough them up a bit. I'm just going to use the sandpaper block, and there's a fine side and a rough side. So I'm going straight in on the rough side. And you can drag or you can go backwards and forwards. And you can see how it's taken the paint off the edges and not so much in the middle. So you take as much paint off or as little as you like. You can hold up your cardstock and just take it off the edges. You can be as fussy as you like. And as you do your layers, you work out where you need to take more white paint off or add a bit more if you've gone a bit too far. Oh, now here I go. See, I've ripped my skinny frame. But when I glue that down later on, you won't even know it was torn. So just be careful. I'm sort of holding it a little more careful now so that I don't do it again. What I find makes it a bit easier is if you rest it on the lid of your paint pot and just sort of hit the edges a little bit on these smaller pieces. That works pretty well too. You can also use a nail file type emery board, and that helps you get to the inside of this frame. You can also do the edges on the other pieces as well with the emery boards. All right, now I've got these all finished, and off camera I done the oyster beige colour as well. Now I'm just going to make a dymo label for this. The top piece, the open frame, fits the dymo label perfectly. So I'm just very quickly going to make a journal label for one of these. And to size it right, put your dymo label down and get your frame and whatever word you're putting in it, just center it to the left and right and put it over the top. I just use a pokey tool. You could use a pencil or anything. Using the inside of the frame, just put a mark there on both ends and then just cut it off. You don't have to worry about having anything that goes all the way under the frame. I just have it fitting on the inside. And we'll do a test fit, and that fits perfectly. Now I'm just going to use this old scrap piece to show you how you use if you wanted to use a piece of paper or something. So just grab your top label again, lay it down over whatever it is that you want to cut out, and with a pencil, just trace around the inside of the frame. And you can either cut it out right on the line and that'll fit right inside the frame, or you can cut it with a little bit of an edge on it so that when you glue that top frame piece down, it's just going to cover it over completely. I use either the Barely Art glue or the Tombow glue to layer these pieces together, and that's because they've got a very fine tip on them. Now let's just finish off the label by gluing all the layers together. It's pretty simple. Just glue your second piece on top of the scalloped piece and press it down. Then put a small amount of glue on the very thin window type frame. Center that up and glue it down. And even though the dymo label is a sticker, I always put a little bit of glue on the background as well, just to make sure it doesn't come off. So peel your sticker off and place your dymo label in the frame. Now it always takes me longer to explain things on camera, but if you were making this in real life, it doesn't take very long at all. The longest part of this is waiting for the paint to dry. And really, you can hurry that along if you had a hairdryer. But I never use a hairdryer. I always walk away, go make myself a cup of coffee and come back. And here's the one I ripped, and I'll show you how easy it is to repair. Honestly, once I put the glue on the back of this and stick it down, you're not even going to know that it happened. Just don't tell anyone. And I'd like to take this opportunity to thank Cricut Australia for providing me with this Cricut Joy. If you've been sitting on the fence about getting one of these, honestly, I highly recommend it. Don't be put off by the techie stuff. I want to let you know that I've made a video series and put it in a playlist here. So make sure you swing by and have a look. These videos will help you get started. And I look forward to chatting with you below this video on what you're going to make, how you're going to make it, and whether or not you need any help. Look, I'd be happy to help you. Thanks for tuning in, and ciao for now.